Hey guys, my name is Dran, and lately I've been playing Sonic Unleashed. If you don't know, recently a port was made for Sonic Unleashed for the PC by the fans, and it's really good. Like, really good. And if you're wondering how good, it's better than the official port Sega made for Sonic Colors. Yeah, I know I set the bar a little low for that one, but it's better. However, this led me to finally play the game because when I played Unleashed, I was a kid and I played it not on the shiny Xbox 360, but on the Wii. And if you don't already know, the difference between the Wii version and the Xbox version is pretty big. It's like playing a DS version of a brand new Wii game because look at these differences, bro. While the Xbox version had a whole hub world for you to roam around in, the Wii version had a point-and-click map. While the Xbox version had daytime stages that were chock full of speed, reaction timings, and quality, the Wii's had stages. Probably the only thing that remained roughly the same were the Werehog stages. Except I liked those just because I could swing the Wiimote and nunchuck around like a gorilla. There's probably more stuff I'm forgetting about the version differences, but that's the gist of it. And just as a side note, I didn't hate the Wii version. In fact, I was obsessed with Sonic Unleashed as a kid, playing it on my Wii. I thought it was the best game ever. But see, I had never played the Xbox version, or was even aware of it as a kid. The Xbox version is the real game essentially. But thanks to these epic modders, I can finally play the game without going on a journey to the west to find a copy of Sonic Unleashed. And after playing this game, it made me realize something. This game is amazing. I mean, really amazing. It gave me flashbacks to when people shit on this game 24/7 like it was as bad as 06, when in reality this game had that AAA game shine that Sega slowly but surely stopped having after this game. In this video, I wanted to talk about Unleashed, give it a review since this was my first time playing the Xbox version, and ultimately see if this game deserved all the hate it got. And before we start, please subscribe. It helps out the channel and it makes me happy. Okay, let's start. So let's start with the history of the game. It's 2006. Sonic is about to go big with his reboot, Sonic 06. Yeah, it was not good. Whether you like or hate the game, it just wasn't finished, thanks to the classic rushed development, leaving a permanent stain on Sonic's reputation. And I say that as someone who actually likes 06, by the way. You gotta acknowledge that all of this here, this was not good. So after this, they really had to come up with something to make sure the franchise didn't die right there and then. From 2006 all the way to 2008, there came Sonic Unleashed. Sonic had officially left the adventure formula behind and would go into the boost formula. It's like a spin dash, but instead of spinning and then dashing, you just dash forward indefinitely. While this change was very different from the adventure formula, people actually liked how this was. I mean, you seriously felt the speed of Sonic, especially in Unleashed. It was also harder for casual players to run into jankiness that the adventure formula was known for, so it was starting off strong. So that's great. The Sonic stages are good, but obviously they thought that it wasn't enough. Which is true, the game isn't that long if you're just counting these boost stages. They had to add something else to make the game more meaty, and so they added this. And this is fucking sick. When I was a kid and I first saw the Werehog in all of the marketing for Unleashed, I thought, holy shit, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And now as an adult, I still think it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. It's a literal beast version of Sonic made for beating the shit out of stuff. He looks like a brawler, which is exactly what he did. Bro has a master's in squashing and stretching. But unfortunately, not everybody thought the same way as me. In fact, a lot of the criticism this game got started at the Werehog. Why? Well, it was because of how slow he was. Yes, the Werehog was slow in almost every regard, almost as if he was intentionally made to be that way. Gasp! Something slow in my Sonic game? That's no good, is pretty much what everybody was saying at the time. The Werehog stages consisted of this: brawling, puzzle solving, and platforming. Emphasis on the platforming because for some reason he had to walk a tightrope like 8 million times. Don't know why they thought that was something that they needed to add, to be honest. On paper, all of this isn't bad, but the execution wasn't so hot. It was tedious and sluggish, especially for a Sonic game of all things. I'm just memeing, by the way. Sonic is not a stranger to having different playstyles that are slower than him, i.e. the adventure games, but this one was so drastically slow in comparison to the blitzing speeds of the daytime stages that you couldn't help but notice, which is fair. In fact, the Werehog sections were kind of done dirty with the level designs being purposefully made slow. What do I mean by this? Well, it had you push and pull heavy objects slowly, turn levers and open doors slowly, and pick up objects that made you walk like this. We'll get more into the Werehog stages, but the point I'm trying to make was that there was identifiable flaws within this game. These flaws aren't world-ending, mind you, but it definitely wasn't sitting right with a lot of people, which, I'll say it, was completely fair. Having Sonic as a Werehog do all these boring things within his levels made no sense, especially for a version of Sonic that can literally stretch his arms. And as a result, you had a lot of mixed to negative reviews, especially from critics. Let's read some reviews from expert gaming critics.
The amount of backtracking required in Sonic Unleashed is absolutely inexcusable, and the mandatory medal hunting is the nail in the coffin.
Ultimately, this simply isn't the fresh start Sonic fans were so desperately hoping for, but at least it's not as execrable as the last two efforts.
Fucking what?
They tossed in one of the dumbest twists.
Alright, you get it. But, fun fact about this IGN review, they rated Sonic Unleashed lower than 06. Amazing, IGN, you guys are really good at reviewing games, truly. Anyway, obviously most of these reviews are super negative and some of them go overboard in my opinion. And because of this, the game got a bad rep for a long time. As a kid, I remember hearing about this game as if it was the second worst Sonic game ever, right behind 06. I heard things like the Werehog is stupid, of course, but it went beyond that. The stages are boring, the story is cheesy and lame, Chip is a menace that should be jailed for his crimes, etc, etc. It was the Sonic hate bandwagon working in full force. This was going to happen no matter what Sonic game came out, showing how bad of a stain Sonic 06 left on the franchise.
Get off! What is this?
It was to the point that this game was an underrated gem among fans, and then slowly over the years experiencing a bit of a comeback arc. However, the damage was already done. Sega basically never acknowledged this game after it was released since then. So after all of this and growing up knowing how it all went, I wanted to play this game and see it for myself. Was this game really that bad? Was the IGN reviewer guy right? Was the execrable guy correct in his review? Well, let's take a look.
That's enough out of you!
So this is my first time playing the 360 version of this game. I barely remember the Wii version, so it's like I'm playing it for the first time. Just as a disclaimer, I did play the recompiled port, which offers some quality of life, so I did play with those quality of life enhancements, but worry not. I didn't get any mods for the first playthrough that would change the gameplay drastically. It was as vanilla as can be. And what I found out was, the game was actually really good. The quality, the shine of the game felt like it had that shiny Sega stamp of approval, something I honestly haven't felt in a long time. I was actively excited to go through the story, see every cutscene along the way, get lost in where I was supposed to go next, but most of all, I was immersed in the gameplay! Getting into the gameplay, starting with the daytime stages, to start, I gotta say, I'm not a huge boost guy. I started playing Sonic during the adventure era, so that's what I grew accustomed to. I just like how those levels play and feel more than I do with boost stages. And it's totally not cause I suck at these boost stages. I am able to complete these levels, I ain't no IGN reviewer, but it's just not the type of Sonic levels I'm most fond of, so you're not gonna hear me go super into depth about these boost stages, cause in general, I'm not very knowledgeable on boost as a whole, cause I just don't really like it that much. Not to say they're bad, definitely not. So with that out of the way, the speed feels pretty crazy with how fast you can go, but it's pretty evident that this was their first try at a new formula, which meant I had to get used to some things, like the fact that Sonic felt like a race car with the way he could barely turn, and how heavy he felt. But upon getting used to the controls and playing the same level enough where I knew what I was doing, it felt pretty rewarding. Are these peak stages? Some people think so, me on the other hand, I really can't say because I'm not a boost guy. But if you like boost, these should be pretty fun. There's a lot of talks of which boost game is the best, and for a long while I assumed that this was the game that had the best boost stages. But now I can see that the best boost game is probably still Generations, only cause there's a few tweaks to how Sonic feels and plays in Generations, and Sega team got a better handle of how to handle boost in that game as well. What I will say is this game does something Frontiers doesn't do, and that's let you boost run over water. But in Sonic Unleashed, running over water is kind of fun. Obviously, the boost is good and fun. Now, what I really want to talk about though is the Werehog. For starters, yep, it was pretty slow. That part I think is obvious, right? Primarily the puzzles and platforming feel deliberately slow, but the combat was very fun. It's a beat 'em up kind of combat with combos you can do, and what's really cool is most of the moves have a purpose. Some stun the enemies, some allow you to attack and move at the same time, some are AoE, and some are single target focused. You can also use some moves purely for traversal, like this Werehog drill attack. You've got a shield that you can bring out at any time during most move animations. You can also roll out of your shield, though I personally didn't use it much. Then lastly, you've got a unleashed mode, which is basically a speed and power up to your moves, fill up the gauge, and then let loose. This is a little foreshadowing for what I'll speak more about later, but when you're in Unleashed mode, it's the peak of the fun with the Werehog, and honestly, made me think, wow, it would be so fun if I could move this fast all the time. I thought the combat would have been worse, but it really wasn't bad at all, and it wasn't as mindless as I thought it would be either. Except for all the quick time events, some enemies let you do a quick time event to kill them before their HP bar is empty, which sounds like a good shortcut, but ironically, these quick time events were slower than just beating the enemy up with your regular moves. To be fair though, the quick time events were something that plagued both the night and day stages, so I won't rag on it for that. Like, we all know this shit is not fun, alright? We all know it's not that fun. Now, my only complaint is obviously that you don't unlock these moves that make the Werehog more interesting fast enough. Really, you should be able to get EXP faster, especially seeing as how long it takes to max everything out. And as I went along with the game's progression, it became pretty damn clear that stuff just drags on a little too long. These stages can go for as long as 20 minutes, which isn't bad if you're having a good time, but when the stage is mostly platforming, puzzling, yeah, it feels like a long time. The fix for these Werehog stages was pretty evident in my mind, and I'm sure you can tell from how I've talked about everything. Just make everything faster. That's it. That's literally it. That simple change could sway a lot of people's minds to come around and try out the Werehog again. Realistically speaking, there is no reason why the Werehog mode should be as slow and sluggish as it is. Realistically speaking, they probably made it this slow to pad out the game time for longer, but that's kind of like a fool's errand, especially when you're meant to replay these levels to level up. In a perfect world, there wouldn't be all of these mundane puzzles where you push heavy cubes, pick up stuff, put them down slowly, walk on a tightrope 8 million times, and so on. But this is what we got. It's funny because I don't even hate these puzzles and platforming, because with some Werehog moves, you are actually able to skip over certain sections. And even though it's kind of niche, it's still fun to be able to skip over tedious sections like that. And what that tells me is that there was potential here for this. But at the end of it all, the peak is at the combat, to put it simply. Yet, I'm still hesitant to say that the Werehog mode is truly so bad to bring a game down so much. It has flaws, that's for sure, but the combat to me makes up for it. Like, this combat to me is a lot more fun than whatever Sonic Frontiers was trying to do. But I am completely aware that it can drag on for too long for most people. The sluggish nature of this mode will catch up. Therefore, to me, this mode is like a 6.8 out of 10, which sounds bad, but I truly believe what Sonic Team was cooking here was good. It just needs a little more taste, a little more salt. And that's when I indulged in the modern gaming era. Mods. I'm no stranger when it comes to mods, and I honestly find that they're great. Why yes, I did play Skyrim, how did you know? Especially when it's for a game that is so close to being good, but it just needs that one thing changed, that one tweak, maybe even that one bug fix. And that's basically the kind of mods I got for this game. I got a mod to make the Werehog sections faster, and that literally did the trick. All it needed was to not be sluggish and be faster paced for me to really start enjoying these sections, even so much as going out of my way to play more Werehog sections that I would have skipped instead. It became so fun that I legit had more fun playing the Werehog stages than I did with the boost stages, which is something I did not think would happen, and I'm sure that I'm in the minority when I say that. The Werehog simply having more movement did the trick. With the increased speed, I could jump over tedious platforming sections, jump over ledges that originally had me latch onto and then jump from, which this mechanic did not need to be there for these small jumps. The tighter controls made platforming much more fun, the run speed being faster just made traversal through the stage much more fluid, and finally, the overall increase in speed and all of the moves made for a really fun and active experience. Basically, it was less waiting, more doing. This is why I believe the game should have just been ported from the start. Mods can make that kind of difference, and I'm super appreciative of all the work that modders do for any game, really.
And you might ask, is it really a good game if you need mods to make it better?
And my answer to that is, I plead the Fifth Amendment. Anyway, I would say that the gameplay for the entire game, unmodded, is a 7.5 out of 10. Then modded is a 9 out of 10. Altogether, like, the game is still fun. While the mods aren't required, they make the game feel much better to play. But they are optional, and you don't need them. This isn't one of those games that actually needs mods. Before the video ends, I just want to say I just released another chapter of my manga, Zombie Sword Girl. Yes, that's right, I make manga. It's in the description if you want to check it out.
Anyway,
this game is really special to me. It's one of those games where Sega took a risk, tried something creative and wacky with their mascot, and I honestly really like it when they do stuff like this, even if sometimes it blows up in their face. But to me, that's what makes these games memorable. I still remember vividly looking at all the promotional content for Unleashed back in the day, and then getting Sonic Unleashed for the Wii and being obsessed with that game. Even if I didn't play the version of the game that everybody knows it for, I still loved the game and everything it had. Having played the Xbox version, though, made me appreciate this game's existence that much more. It isn't perfect, it's rough around the edges, but it was still such a fun game to play through. And definitely is nowhere near as bad as people made it out to be. Far from it, actually. It's a shame that when it was released, it was met with more hate than praise, especially with what we got later on. This game was good back then, and is even better now. Anyway, fellas, if you enjoyed watching me yap about Sonic, then please destroy that subscribe button, and like the video if you liked it. I'll catch ya in the next video. See ya.